Okay, we found the gifts we promised, and I think everybody got one. Now would anybody like to come up and give some comments about this so-called NSA agent? I'm going to file a lawsuit for NSA brutality for pushing me. Come on up.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to read to you from a little-known document here in the United States. It's called the Constitution. This is Amendment 4, which is ratified and never annulled. And mind you, NSA is currently in violation of the Constitution. Many of you have sworn an oath, like I, to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, the NSA has proven itself to be a domestic enemy. Amendment 4 of the Constitution, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. It's a shame. Why don't most of you walk around preaching these words? If more people stood up for it, this kind of NSA spying wouldn't have happened to begin with. The rights of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, how many of you here think that NSA is currently in violation of that amendment to the Constitution? Right? Now, why doesn't our politicians do something about that violation to our oath? They swore the same oath to the Constitution as you. Why? Because they're corporately owned. Corporately owned government is the cause. Who cares about a constitution to a corporation? We must return to a democratic republic that respects its constitution. If we don't respect our constitution, what do we have left? When we have people defecting to Russia, I mean, I remember years ago, Russians were defecting here. Not anymore. Now they're scrambling over each other to get the hell out. We need a change. It's time to change. We need to welcome back the constitutional republic. Rid ourselves of this domestic enemy. How do we do that? We got to raise awareness. Come on up. Who wants to read from the Constitution of the United States? Anybody?
We're doing the First Amendment now.
I know, right? Many people don't even know there's a First Amendment anymore.
That's the truth.
They've been violating our Constitution since 2000. Well, they've been doing it a lot longer in 2011, but they've been boldly and blatantly doing it since 2011 because people got afraid. And they said, you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice my liberty for my freedom. I'm not. When you first sacrifice liberty for freedom, you end up with neither. Remember that, folks. Remember when they start coming to your door. Remember, you have a chance today to defend it. Stand up.
Good job.
I want to thank Dave Lambert, who couldn't be here. I think he's under arrest, but anyway, he organized this for us, and let's thank Dave for this. He got all the signs, the PA, the cameras. I want to thank Patty Hunter for videotaping for us. Food Not Bombs for bringing food. Thank you. And I think we have a special guest from Indianapolis, according to the organizer, Bob Baldwin. Would you like to say something, Bob? I met Bob. I never actually met him, so I'm thrilled to actually meet him today, but I believe that you sent me some DVDs when you lived in Bloomington, and you're with the 9/11 group. So Bob is fighting on a lot of fronts. One of them was 9/11 Truth, and I believe you now live in Indianapolis, Dave said. But anyway, I'll turn it over to Bob. He came all the way from Indianapolis.
Well, thanks. I've been involved in the anti-war movement in Indianapolis, going back to the beginning of the Iraq War. Actually, I opposed the war in Vietnam, so I used to skip high school and go down and protest the war back in the 1970s. I've also been involved in with a group called the 9/11 Working Group, which he mentioned, down in Bloomington. Some of you may recognize the name Kevin Ryan. He's part of that group. He's made movies, recently written a book called The Other 19 about other suspects in the 9/11 attack. I believe that our loss of liberty, this NSA spying, the torture, the assassinations, the indefinite detentions, the whole thing was pulled off as a result of the 9/11 attack, which I think was patterned after the burning of the Reichstag fire in Germany. And if you look at the history of Wall Street, going back to the 1930s, people like the Bush family were involved in financing Hitler and the Nazis for World War II. They actually had their property seized during the war for trading with the enemy. These same people, their heirs, Karl Rove, so on, I believe were involved in 9/11. And as a result, we've lost our freedom. Now, one of the reasons why we've lost our freedom also is because we have a two-party political system which is fraudulent. A lot of people voted for Obama, and I don't think when they voted for Obama, they were voting for more war. I don't think they were voting for nuclear power. I don't think they were voting for GMO food. I don't think they were voting for more surveillance, drones, assassination, indefinite detention, and so on. But because the Republicans are always worse, people will support them no matter what they do. And I think it's because of that kind of thinking that so many Americans have been lulled into accepting this kind of system that we have now. You know, a few of us were standing out there on the sidewalk holding signs. Most of the cars just drove right past us. We got a few honks, but the vast majority of Americans are still asleep. And I'm just very proud to be with you people. And so anytime there's an event like this and I can make it, I want to join with you.
Thank you. Yeah! Woo!
I don't know if he told you or not, but Bob Baldwin is an old, dare I use that word, old Bob? Okay, associate colleague drove all the way up from Indianapolis to be here, to be a part of us protesting. Let's hear it again for Bob Baldwin. Food Not Bombs is here. What's on the menu today? Huh? Pizza?
Baked apples! That's what we say, yeah.
Gazpacho?
Baked apples, yeah.
Come, is it hot?
It's warm.
It's warm. Come and get it. My name is Dave Lambert. I don't know who that other imposter was here earlier. I want to say just a few words. Probably about 150. How many can you do on a tweet? 140 characters. Almost a dozen years ago, hundreds of people gathered every week here on this green to protest going to war with Iraq. Who was here then? During the run-up, I know one fellow, and I know two, three, four. We know who you are. After Bush started his war, the numbers dropped way, way off. People started putting their flags up and stickers on their cars that said, "Support the troops." Tim Tiernan led the fight several years ago and held monthly rallies opposing the ongoing war. Let's hear it for Tim Tiernan. Ah, boy, Tim. You know, I have a question. What gets people out for a cause? Thousands of people walked for Alzheimer's a while back. Over 400 people came here just a week ago, right out here, to support immigrants' rights. How many are here today? About 200, I guess. I think I know why it's so hard to get people out for peace, but maybe I'm wrong. The ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, a few years ago, released a report that the Pentagon monitored at least 186 anti-war protests in the United States and collected more than 3,000 reports involving Americans in anti-terrorist threat database. We're all terrorists, folks. In October 2012, it was revealed that the Boston Police Department placed local anti-war groups under surveillance with no plausible connections to criminal activity. In addition to massive surveillance, assassinations and dirty tricks by any means necessary included the creation of NSA watch lists. I got a question for you. How many of us here, raise your hand if you agree with this, how many of you here think that you might be on an NSA watch list? Let me see your hands.
You should be ashamed of yourself if you're not.
What?
You should be ashamed of yourself if you're not. You're not until you're on file.
At least since
And if
the
you
80s.
think you're not, you probably are.
I'm on many lists.
Since about 1983, I think.
Of a range of members from radical political groups to celebrities to ordinary citizens involved in protests against their government, with names submitted by the FBI, Secret Service, military, CIA, and Defense Intelligence Agency. The secret lists, which include people whose activities may result in civil disturbances or otherwise subvert the national security of the U.S., were used by the NSA to extract information of intelligence value from its stream of intercepted communications. The Obama White House, that beacon of transparency and openness, recently informed a federal judge that it will not disclose any information on the secret court opinion concerning the U.S. government illegally spying on Americans. What a guy, that Obama. Let's hear it for transparency. This despite revelations from Intelligence Committee member Senator Ron Wyden that this surveillance circumvented the spirit of the law and blatantly violated the Fourth Amendment. Every time the U.S. government's been questioned or challenged on its illegal surveillance program, it has predictably hidden behind the rubric of national security. We're a threat to national security. Did you know that, folks? Everyone knows. Little wonder, then, it is difficult to get peace activists out for protests and civil disobedience. Given the propensity of the power elite to intimidate and imprison us. It takes courage to stand up to the corporations that run this country, whether it be a walkout at McDonald's for higher wages, or challenging them on their funding of the surveillance state. That's right. That's right, folks. If you didn't know it, you could read all about it in a recently published article just a few days ago entitled "Who Buys the Spies? The Hidden Corporate Cash Behind America's Out-of-Control National Surveillance State." You can read it at indianapeace.org. Okay, I'm going to close with this. My advice whenever you're trying to find out who is really running things, there are two rules that you might observe. One is to learn who rules. To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize. Think about it. who you are not allowed to criticize. A man wrote that about 350 years ago by the name of Voltaire. Okay, so that's rule number 1. Learn who you are not allowed to criticize. Number 2, follow the money. It's a catchphrase from the movie All the President's Men. Follow the money. Anyway, I'm glad we're all here, fighting the power. Let's hear it. Fight the power. 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 Fight the power.
Anyone else like to speak while we're waiting for someone? Tim's coming up. I want to invite all of you November 13th to a program that I think any kind of abuse is related to what we're talking about today. It's a domestic violence initiative program at IPFW that Patty and I, with our organization, TRAC, Three Rivers Arts Center for Kids, has provided the speakers. It's November 13th. It's breaking through the silence of abuse. We have 2 speakers, Randy Shepard, her daughter Destiny, who's 8 years old, was shaken as a baby, left for dead. Randy is starting a law in her daughter's name called Destiny's Law. Destiny suffers from brain damage. She has received a lifelong sentence. The other speaker is Malaya Heck, a young woman who was sexually abused by family members, who has used the power of forgiveness and speaking out to help herself heal. Abuse is what we're talking about, really. People in power that have contempt for those weaker than them. That's what we're talking about, period. Every ill in America, from economic inequality to drones to invasions of little countries that have nothing, pose us no harm, it's all contempt for people who are weaker. So I hope you can make it out November 13th. It's at noon and it's a free lunch. Speaking of food, not bombs, and what's on the menu today. So we thank Christopher Riley in the Office of Diversity and Multicultural Affairs for the opportunity to do this program. We also thank Cable Fund Advisory Board for giving us a grant Wednesday night that can pay for track programs. So anyway, Tim Tiernan. Tim has been involved in these protests from the beginning, these Veterans for Peace. I first met Tim at a protest here, and then we did a show about Iraq. Does nothing ever change? Iraq, Afghanistan. Somebody mentioned Vietnam, I think Bob. I was a teacher, got fired for my views against the war in Vietnam. So much for freedom of speech then in the 70s and now in the 2013. Tim Tierney.
Excellent. Thanks everybody for being here. I'd like to thank Dave and Jerry here did a great job. I wouldn't be worried about our numbers. We're in solidarity with the very large rally happening in Washington and every other city that's doing this. It's every time we rallied, you have to remember there were rallies all over the country. This is part of a national day of action on this subject, a very important subject. Unfortunately, peace activism, we got job security here. We have some things coming up. We're trying to get ahead of future problems. Right now, Israel is at a crisis point, and they're coming to the place where soon they will be outnumbered by Arabs in Israel. We've had local discussions on it. There'll be a discussion at the Allen County Public Library on this Tuesday. It's 7 o'clock in meeting room C. Encourage everyone to come to that. We are supporting peace. We're supporting a peaceful resolution to their conflict. A Palestinian child is just as valuable as a Jewish child. These are the same people. On November 3rd, there'll be a peace musical presentation inside the courthouse by Heartland Sings. Fort Wayne for Peace would like to have anybody possible to rally out here. What Terry said in closing comments are very important. We need to join the domestic violence people. We need the domestic violence people to realize war kills women. An incredible quantity of domestic violence in this country traces back to the military and the attitudes promoted by the military. I've attended one of these at IPFW. I was amazed at how many of the stories told by the women related back to the military. This is all one big picture. People are very comfortable talking about domestic violence. We are not volunteers here. We're not volunteers. We are activists. We are taking a position on a controversial issue. It takes a little guts. It takes a little guts. We have got to get people, whatever it takes to get people out. We have brilliant people who are sitting. They are afraid to say anything. This world can burn. I was chemical, biological, nuclear warfare in the Air Force. There are 2 nuclear hydrogen bombs aimed right here, right now from Russia. Anything goes wrong, one of their groundhogs chews through the line, we could find out about it. This is all gone, everything gone. It's an unacceptable risk, and we need to take action on that. People do need to wake up, but the first thing is people have got to get more comfortable with activism, because that is the key to actually dealing with and solving our problems. Thank you, everybody. It's a great day. Peace.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah.
I know it's not getting much warmer, so anybody else want to speak before we wrap up? I do want to add the Fort Wayne Ballet will perform at the November 13th program also. And thank Tim for his comments, Bob, everybody who's spoken, Denny for his music. You want to say something more? Okay.
I'd just like to bring to your attention what's written here above this door. Consent makes the law. All right? None of this would have happened if we didn't give our consent. It's time you withdraw your consent, because it indeed does make the law. When you consent to NSA spying, when you consent to fascist overthrow of our democratic republic, you consent to it. You allow your own fears to justify the taking away of your civil liberties. Take away your consent, because just like it's written in stone up here, consent indeed does make the law. Right above the door, in stone above our courthouse. Consent makes the law. Stop consenting. Stop giving your permission, either by your apathy or your silence. Because if you're silent for too much longer, you won't be allowed to come out here and speak anymore. That's where it's heading. You say, they want me to say, I see something, I'm going to say something. Guess what? I see a fascist overthrow of the United States government. And it's not done silently. It's not done quietly. They're coming right out and saying it. It's time to stop giving your consent.
Hey, let's hear it for Joe Renner. Yeah. And I just have, blow the whistle. Everybody has a whistle here. Blow it. Like Bradley Manning, Chelsea Manning, Edward Snowden, you name all the people that have blown the whistle on the NSA and the government. They got fired from their jobs, but that's the risk you take when you go up against power elite. I have just one last word to add. That is, Joe is quite right. It does say consent makes the law. But you know what? Dissent, what we're doing, dissent makes the law work. Right?
Right.
Yes.
Anybody else? under an hour, so we met our goal. Here's the newspaper I mentioned. There's a stack of them over there. And it's got excellent articles about NSA and war, and called the War Crimes Times. So pick one up before you leave. I want to thank everybody for coming. You know, and the last word really can go to, I think, America's greatest writer, Mark Twain. He wrote this book called A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. And it's about 5th century King Arthur's Court, as you might imagine from the title. Let me just read this one little passage. Twain is just full of sarcasm and scorn about the ruling class. I probably can't find it here. So anyway, I can't find it, but read the book. It's all about nobility, dukes, all that stuff, and the contempt they have for the serfs, for everybody else. And that's what I think we're talking about. It's human nature. He was talking about the 5th century. Now we're at 2013, and as Joe and Bob and Tim and Dave and everybody who has spoken has so eloquently said, it is up to us to stop this. If we want our country to stand for what it says it does, it is up to us. And we got to get more people out here to join us. But thank goodness for all of you. You're all heroes to be out here, speak, listen, absorb in the cold. Thank you very much. I'm Terry Doran. Thank Dave Lambert again for organizing.
Remember those dates, folks. Tim mentioned the lecture that's going to be at the library. It's what, next Tuesday?
Tuesday is the lecture on Israel. Now this is November.
Good, okay. Tuesday, November the 3rd. Oh, is the one here at the courthouse. And that's when, will you have signs that we bring peace signs, right?
We'll have all the materials.
Okay. Come on down. That's next Tuesday?
Okay, so Tuesday will be at the Allen County Library, 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
This is November 3rd at 4 o'clock.
All right. You got that? Did you make a note of that? God, I hope you. Somebody made a note of that, I'm sure. And then Rita Vors, you mentioned something to me earlier. Come up here and tell us what that's about.
This is encourage everyone interested in the Israel issue to read the November 4th issue of The Nation. There's very good articles, 2 views on Israel. A great article on page 12. We're dealing with, as in the United States, an intensive propaganda campaign. And we really must manifest as peace activists. If we want a peaceful resolution, we've got to work for it. And I was just amazed. I was talking to someone, started reading the article. It was just a perfect article, and it explains the incredible reaction of the Zionists to peace. They're very threatened by peace, and we need to change that. Here we go. Here.
Yeah, I was just commenting to Dave, and I don't have the details, unfortunately, but there is a movie out about sexual abuse in the military, and there's a movie called The Invisible War. I know AAUW has a private showing on the 1st of November, but they will be followed by another public showing. I thought it was the 13th, which is the same date we're talking about this other event. But I'm sure if you look for it on online, it's called The Invisible War, and it's about the problem of sexual abuse in the military. Now that involves a lot of the same issues as the domestic violence that we were talking about, and it's all related to this whole militaristic attitude of our country, the war mentality that wears down our natural resistance to things like abuse, and it makes us immune to it. We get used to that sort of thing, and then we don't realize that it's really going on and how terrible it really is. So you might look that up. I'm awfully sorry I don't have the details on it, but it sounds like an awfully good movie. Something we need to be aware of.
Very good. Very good. Perfect.
Yes, blow them whistles. Yeah.
Is it over? Is it over?
It's kind of jerky.
I know it's kind of tricky, like me. Is that
Thank
it?
you. Thank you, Betty.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap up and thank again everybody who spoke, everybody who came out. Really, every time I come to one of these, I have despair because where's everybody in Fort Wayne? Don't they care about anything? I mean, what has to happen for the masses to come out here and protest? But I feel inspired because of all of you, because there are people that I know I'm not alone. So that's the strength of all of us here. Even if there aren't the masses of Fort Wayne, we have strength in us. So thank you again for coming, and get a newspaper and enjoy.